Welcome to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. My special guests tonight are Justin Beth and Rick Lass. Now, Justin is a Green Party member, and Rick Lass is the ballot access manager for Cornell West campaign. So one of the things that we're going to discuss tonight is how we go about getting that ballot access for Cornell West's campaign. So welcome, guys. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us, Sabby.
All right, so I want to start off with talking about some of these states, some of the challenging states in reference to ballot access for Cornell West, or for any actually Green Party member that would be running for president. Rick, I'm going to get started with you. You actually helped with Jill Stein's campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about some of these states where it's a little bit challenging to get that ballot access?
I sure can. That's great. Yeah, I worked in 2016 for Jill Stein, and we got on the ballot in 45 states, which was a record for the Green Party, plus 3 others as write-in candidate. And, you know, it was a challenge, and it will be a challenge for Cornell West too. Every state is different. Yeah, every state looks at the petition signatures very much, you know, differently. Some just, you sign the petition and it's good, and some they compare your signature to what you signed when you registered to vote, which might have been 30 years ago, or might have been in a government office, as compared to being in a, you know, at the mall or whatever, where you sign the petition. But, you know, our goal with the Cornell West campaign is to be on in every state, and we're working really hard. We've started in 9 states already to start getting petition signatures. We're on the ballot in 20 states already. And it's a real struggle. And, you know, the Democrats and Republicans don't have to do any of this.
Right.
We spent $500,000 in 2016 to get on the ballot in 45 states. We'll probably be spending a lot more than that this year. So, you know, it's a real struggle, and the major parties make it a struggle on purpose.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about, I want to bring up this ballot access map so people can see this, but first and foremost, there's also the potential for lawsuits as well. Can we talk a little bit about that, just so people understand?
Well, yeah,
Sure.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong there, Rick, Montana actually won a lawsuit fairly recently to get them ballot access. And I think also Texas were the 2 big wins that we had fairly recently. I might be wrong about Texas.
Yep. And also North Carolina, we got on the ballot
With
2
Matthew
years
Ho.
ago,
Yeah.
with Matthew Ho for Senate on that. Oklahoma had a lawsuit, and we won that. And we still have to pay $35,000 to get on the ballot in Oklahoma alone. But that's much better. We've never been on the ballot in Oklahoma, and it's much better than trying to do a petition drive. And you mentioned Montana. We have an active lawsuit in Indiana because they require close to 40,000 signatures. And we actually just lost a lawsuit there that the lower court said, well, there's nothing wrong with that. So we're appealing that. But, you know, it's just kind of sick that we have to do all this to get just to get on the ballot. The Democrats mostly and the Republicans are so scared of competition that they're doing everything they can to keep people off the ballot. Whereas in Europe and Latin America, they have proportional representation. They have 5, 7, 9 parties on the ballot every election. It's not confusing, but that's what the powers that be in the United States say, is that, oh, we don't want a crowded ballot. We don't want to confuse the voters. It's like, really? So
Right.
we're fighting not just to get Cornell West on the ballot, but we're fighting for a complete change in the system where, you know, people can have choices.
That's right. And Matthew Ho was here last year when he was running for office as a Green Party candidate, and he actually met above the signature requirement for his campaign. And then the Democratic Party in North Carolina basically tried to tell Matthew Ho that we don't think that some of these signatures are valid, right? So this was just a way for them to try to push Matthew Ho off the ballot. We even had video footage of them going to different people's like homes, telling them, did you really mean to sign your signature in reference to this? And there was one gentleman who said, absolutely. Like, why are you coming to my house? If I wanted to vote for the Democratic Party, I would. So these are the types of like tricks that they'll play. And by the way, the Democrats will do it with the Green Party. The Republican Party will do it with the Libertarian Party. Larry Sharp had the same thing happen to him when he was running as a libertarian in New York. So it happens on both sides. But I want to bring up this map here so people can see. This is the ballot access map. So can we explain to people what the different colors mean first and foremost?
Sure. So the orange states are states where we're actively petitioning. And if you are in one of those states, please participate. I don't know if you can click on, Nevada or Arizona, for instance, so you can see. So yeah, if you're in Arizona, it shows you how we're doing, right? And it then shows you if you want to download the petition, you can do that there. If you're not registered to vote, that's where you can register to vote. If you want to volunteer to help out, that's where you can volunteer. And all the states have that. The register to vote is particularly important in states like Delaware and Massachusetts because it's the best way we can get on the ballot is if we just have literally like 1,000 people in Delaware that are registered Green Party or 50,000 people in Massachusetts where they register in the Green Party. We'll get our candidate on the ballot.
Right. And I just want to point out to people just so they understand. For example, with Arizona, it says required signatures 34,116. And it says the goal is 70,000. Could you explain to people, Rick, why is it? Just explain to the audience, like, if the required signature amount is a little over 34,000, why is the goal 70,000? Can you explain that to people?
Sure. It's because people will enthusiastically sign a petition because they want to see Cornel West on the ballot, but they might not be registered voters. Or they might have moved. So when they sign the petition and say they were at, 114 First Street, and in fact, they don't live there anymore, or their voter registration says they live somewhere else. So it's just kind of standard operating procedure. You want to get double. So that's what that's all about.
That makes sense.
And some states, Nevada and Georgia, I hate to pick on them. No, I don't really hate to pick on them. They actually compare the signature on the petition with the signature when you registered to vote. So, if you registered when you were 18 or 20 years old and now you're 50, your signature probably doesn't look the same, and they're going to throw that out. Or if you went down to the county clerk's office and signed, you were in a very formal government environment and you signed it very clearly, but then it's 110 degrees and you're at the mall waiting to go to the movie and you just quickly sign it, it's not going to look the same. And so that's why we just want double. Every opportunity the government has to throw out our signatures, it's sad but true, they're going to do it. So we just want to make sure we have enough of a cushion.
Right, because these are wet signatures, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
It's
not to mention, like in North Carolina that we just talked about, right? That we expect the Democrats are going to be opposing this effort at every step. So any chance they can get to throw out or question signatures, they will. The state board of elections was, 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 of them were Democrats, and really worked hard to toss out all of Matthew Ho's signatures. So
Mhm.
that's getting that cushion is necessary. I mean, that's definitely standard practice.
That's right. And so for people just joining, the orange states are the ones where you're actively trying to get these signatures.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the light green states, like Maine, for example, these are the ones that the Green Party already has ballot access in. So for people wondering, now can we talk about these dark green states like Ohio?
So the dark green states are states where we can legally start petitioning, but we just haven't quite gotten around to it. So in those states, we're looking for volunteers to start circulating petitions. We're looking for people that might want to step up and be leaders and help organize a petition drive. Ohio and Indiana and Utah were like about to start any minute now. But states like Idaho, Wyoming, Iowa, Kansas, that's where we really need help right now. And
Okay.
if we can get your listeners and people to volunteer to help, that would be fantastic. But
Can you go to one of those states, Sabby?
Yeah, I'll go to I'll go to New York because
Well,
Roger Meadows sent a super chat and said, "Oh, sorry, wrong one."
Well-
I'll go to Iowa.
Great.
Yeah. Does it have like a link there for you, Rick, for them to reach out to you? Or they have the volunteer links and stuff like that.
The volunteer link is where people should connect to. And, we've got this register to vote link on every state that we have. And just registering green is a huge thing right now. That's the best way to show your solidarity and support for Cornell West campaign. And that's on every state at this website. And then the volunteer link will come to the Cornell West campaign and,
Website. Yeah, so we'll go to that in just a second.
Yep.
One thing I want to mention, so those of you who are watching, if you live in Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, and Alabama, they need help. So if you live in any of those states, what you can do is go to the Cornell West website. I think Eric has put the link in the chat to sign up to volunteer. They need help petitioning in those particular states. I do have a question really quick about Massachusetts because I don't want people to get confused. Massachusetts, for example, is one of the gray states. Now, if you click on a gray state, it says, unfortunately, we cannot start petitioning for a ballot line until 2024, right? But if enough people join the Green Rainbow Party, we can get on the ballot that way. This is very important because in November, when we had the midterm elections, I voted for the Green Rainbow Party candidates. So what you're saying here is for people who live in Massachusetts, for example, if they just register for the Green Rainbow Party, that's another way to do it.
It
Absolutely.
sure is. Justin, you're the expert on this. Why don't you take a minute?
Yeah. I mean, so it's very easy in both Massachusetts and Delaware. You can go to the Secretary of State's website and register online. So it doesn't take that much time to register online and change your party affiliation. Or if you are not yet registered to vote, you can register as a Green Party member in Delaware or a Green Rainbow Party member in Massachusetts. So super easy to do. Just getting it to people that you know. And anybody that's supporting Cornell West in those states, just get that link to them and say, hey, please just take a couple of minutes and change your registration over. I mean, why are you still a Democrat anyways?
That's right. That's right.
If you're an independent, I can understand that. But, this is about a bigger movement right now to get Cornell on the ballot so people can actually vote for him, not just want to vote for him.
Right. So this is the one for Massachusetts. I'm very familiar with this. That's why I went to change my voter registration. And this is the website for Delaware. So delaware.gov. Eric, when you get a chance, if you can put the link to both of those in the chat. But the thing is, if you guys want to help which a lot of you have reached out to me saying, how do you help? How do you help the campaign? If you go to cornellwest24.org, his website, this is where you can sign up to volunteer. So you just go up to the top here and it says volunteer. And then it's going to ask you, how do you want to help? Ballot access, outreach, graphics, social media, phone, text bank, host an event, knock on doors, or I have professional campaign experience. So if you want to help with ballot access, you would select ballot access.
Hey, Sabby, can I add another point about the registration too? That's, I think, important to think about.
Yeah.
So when you register as a Green Party member, you know, and say that not all states have a Green Party, though. You can't register as a Green in every state. And some states, there's a Green Party that's not really officially with this, you know, recognized by the state, but you can still join that party. And it's good to do that there too, because in addition to ballot access, we have to get Cornell West the nomination. And we don't have a rigged primary process like the Democrats, right? So, you know, there are other candidates in this race. We don't expect that Cornell is going to lose the nomination, but we want as many people as possible to turn out for Cornell in our primaries and in our nominating conventions. So getting registered as a Green or just joining the Green Party in your state will allow you to have a say over what the Green Party focuses on in your state. And then when it comes time to nominating Cornell, which we could talk about maybe on another show, which is a whole other process, you know, you'll be able to do that. And eventually, maybe you'll even be a delegate for Cornell West at the nominating convention in 2024. It's going to be really, really exciting event, I think. So just another thing to think about as registering, joining the Green Party.
And it'll scare the hell out of the Democrats if
Yes,
10,000 people join the Green Party in the next 2 months.
That's right. That's right.
And they need to have the hell scared out of them.
And look at one of the orange states, was I think is really important considering the wildfires that we've been talking about in Hawaii. One of the orange states is Hawaii. So if you live there, you see, like this is another one for ballot access. So we wanted to show you guys this map. I have a question for both of you, and I think other people would like to hear the answer to this as well, because I've been hearing people say, well, I'm going to, you know, vote for RFK Jr. in the primary and then vote for Cornell West in the general. The problem, I think, with that, if you live in a state that requires that you are registered as a Democrat in order to participate in the Democratic primary, so you're going to have to be registered as a Democrat to vote for RFK Jr., but then come the general election, you may not be able to vote for Dr. West. You may have to be registered as a Green. This is what people really have to understand. Well,
okay. So in the general election, you can vote for whoever you want, you know, regardless of what party you're registered in. So you don't have to be registered as Green to vote for Cornel West, right? In fact, we expect a lot of people, both Democrats and Republicans, to vote for Cornel West, as well as all the other people that are registered independent or not registered to vote at all. Hopefully they'll register to vote for Cornel West. So, but to participate in the primaries, in some states there are open primaries where you can be a member of any party and vote for any candidate. And in other states there are closed primaries, like in Maine. Maybe Massachusetts is also a closed primary state. And, you know, a lot of the times too, I think part of the strategy of the Dems is to try running these candidates to keep you like a registered Democrat, so you can't participate in the Green Party and Green Party primaries, and it really stifles the growth of the Green Party, right? So I say forget the Democratic Party primaries; they're rigged. We know it as a fact, not just the presidential, but Nina Turner in 2018 or 2019 and 2020, Dennis Kucinich, his primary was rigged when he ran for governor in Ohio. So forget those Democratic Party primaries and just go Green to get Cornell on the ballot and really help grow something here.
Right. And another thing I want to add too is that when you look at like the Democratic primary, again, this is another situation where some people may not realize this, because let's say, like, for example, for some of the people who are Republican voters and said that they're going to vote, this is the first time they're going to vote for a Democrat, they're going to vote for RFK Jr. They may not realize that depending on which state they live in, they may have to switch their registration over to Democrat just to even vote for RFK Jr. in the primary debate. These are some of those things that you may not realize until it comes time for you to do it. But I think one of the easiest things you can do. So again, like Massachusetts, for example, does have the Green Rainbow Party. So for those of you, I know actually there's a group of people that watch me that are here in Massachusetts with me. You can just register for the Green Rainbow Party of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's, look at it clearly. I mean, there's not really a Democratic Party primary this year. Biden's going to be the person, regardless of what RFK Jr. or Marianne Williams might do. So there, people that have that rationale, they want to be able to help select the Democratic presidential nominee. That's not in play in 2024. So it's much better to just get involved with the Green Party and get hopefully Cornel West or a really good solid candidate on the ballot. And just, it's like, let's put the pedal to the metal and get him on the ballot and really start moving right now on getting Green Party candidates up and down the ballot.
There you go.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking along those lines, Ricky. You added it right at the end of what you were saying. When we get ballot access in a state like Vermont, which is also an interesting thing to talk about, we're going to get ballot access for us, any candidates that we want to run. And not just for Cornell. Same thing is true in Arizona. We're fighting to get the Green Party on the ballot in Arizona, and that's going to allow us to run a slate of candidates. Also in New Hampshire. So the idea is that this is not just about sending Cornell to Washington. We want to send a slate of candidates at the federal level to Washington with him. If you will, a Cornell's Congress going to Washington with him. And I think that's something else to keep in mind here. Where we get these ballot access wins, we're going to be able to field a whole slate of candidates, and because we really need a movement going into Washington. In Vermont, it's interesting because you want to explain Vermont, Rick? That process?
Well, I mean, we could go into details on a lot of states. But okay. Vermont, we just need we need to have meetings in 10 towns with at least 3 people willing to sign up, and we get ballot access. So we don't have a petition drive to do that. We just have to get people motivated to go. And in Delaware, we just need to get about 800 people to register in the Green Party, and we've already got over 700. So there's lots of ways to do, but I was more interested, since we have limited time, about talking about Cornell's Congress. We have 8 people in 8 different states that are ready to run for Senate. We have other people that are ready to run for Congress, and this is the time to build not just a presidential campaign, but an electoral arm of the movement that's going to say, okay, we've been fighting for living wage. We've been fighting against the wars. We've been fighting for what have you. And we're not just going to sit outside anymore. We're going to run for office, and we're going to win, and we're going to start making policy instead of just being on the outside.
Yes,
right.
So critical that the electoral arm of the movement comes to pass right now.
And if we get 2 candidates in every state running for Congress, like running with Cornell, part of Cornell's Congress, we have a really good chance of electing 2 or 3 at least. You're talking 100 candidates running for office. Usually Green Party win percentage is around 35 to 40%. I think actually when we do have candidates on the ballot. And I was going to say that going back to Vermont, though, the interesting thing I wanted to raise about that, and like you said in California, Rick, on the previous interview we had with Tim Black, in Vermont, it's actually not a Green Party affiliate that we're getting on the ballot there. It is the Green Mountain Peace and Justice Party. So they used to be the Liberty Party. They're now called the Green Mountain Peace and Justice Party, but they're not even really with the Green Party yet. They're very much in line with our values, and they voted unanimously to nominate Cornel West as their candidate, and we're helping them get their party status back, or maintain it. And eventually, I think they are going to affiliate with Green Party of the United States. And in California, right, you were talking about some different groups and different parties that will want to nominate Cornel as well and be on their ballot lines as well, right, Rick?
Yeah, well, part of Cornell's vision is that we're going to build a multi-party left candidate that we're going to be able to bring in all the left parties to nominate Cornell and then to work together, because, you know, having a socialist party, a peace and freedom party, a green party, independent party, it's great, but if we can bring them all together during this election cycle, we could actually create positive changes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to add this because I think this is really important that Roger Meadows pointed out. New York will be the most challenging thanks to Cuomo. Yeah, New York, that's one of the states that is more challenging.
Yeah. Well, so check that out, Sabby. There's a pledge to sign. So in a state like New York, get everybody the link to this. They can go on here and do a pledge to sign. So we know where we can get signatures from day one when we can start. That's important. And thanks for bringing that back up again.
Yeah, no, New York and Georgia and Arizona are going to be the hardest states to get. So the sooner we can get organized in those states, the better. I mean, there are states like New Jersey and Connecticut that can't start yet, and yet they have a very comprehensive plan of what we're going to do on January 2nd when we can start. And we need to be looking at that in every state.
In Arizona, where we have collection going on right now, the deadline is actually November of this year. So we have a couple more months to get, you know, was it 40,000 signatures? We want to meet the goal. And I'm actually going to be going out on Labor Day weekend, spending a couple weeks in Arizona to help collect. I'm going on vacation in Arizona. So I don't know. I want to go see the Grand Canyon too while I'm there. But, you know, I'll go collect a bunch of signatures. They actually have some ballot measures too that they're collecting for, right, Rick? What are the two measures?
They have one for ranked choice voting, which we could talk about at length. They have one to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, and they have one for reproductive rights. And the Green Party is circulating all those petitions.
So Arizona, you said, is having a ranked choice voting ballot measure?
That's right.
Awesome.
Oh. Okay.
Do it there like we did it in Maine.
And it just shows, you know, the Green Party is not just about electoral politics, it's about issues too. And that's why we're circulating all 4 of these petitions at once.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So another thing I want to mention that you guys brought up that I think I just want to reiterate, is having other Green Party candidates run along with Dr. West. I think that's very important. Other congressional candidates, etc. Because the thing is, like, when you're trying to do like a movement or something like this, like the Democratic Party does this all the time. The Republican Party does this all the time. And the Green Party has had success on the local level. In fact, I've covered a bunch of these things. I've had Green Party candidates come onto the show that won on the local level. So when people say that third parties don't win, just keep in mind, they're talking about on the national level, that some of these people have won on the local level, as well as independent candidates and socialist candidates as well have won on the local level. So that makes a lot of sense, because that's more about creating like a third party coalition movement, having other people run for those offices. If you guys are upset with the squad, maybe there should be Green Party candidates to primary challenge them, or not primary, but challenge them. Because the thing is like, otherwise you just keep doing the same repetitive behavior. Maybe there should be someone that runs as a Green to challenge AOC or challenge Ilhan Omar or, you know, Jamal Bowman, like switch some of these seats. And that's how you bring about real change.
I could
Yep.
see some of these people even flip to the Green Party, right? If we actually have a big surge into Congress, I could see somebody like Ilhan Omar breaking away from the Dems.
Really?
I think so. But yeah, I think part of that, the whole thing you mentioned there, we don't win at that level because we don't run enough candidates at that level. But, we got to find the right kind of people with the right kind of backgrounds and experience. Although, really, any of us should be able to run for the U.S. House, right? It's the people's house, right? And we sometimes forget that. But any one of us are fully qualified to go serve at that level, I believe, right? I'd like to see a lot more, and hopefully this will. It already is inspiring a lot more people to run. So,
Yeah,
I hear
it
you.
is. Yeah, we have already eight people who've committed to running for Senate.
it's awesome.
Which out of 32 seats, that's a quarter of it, and we're very early in the process. But back when I first got involved in the late 90s in New Mexico, we were winning local seats and making significant numbers of votes in federal seats because we had the very policy of we're going to run locally because we can win. We're going to run for big states because we can shift the debate. No one was talking about public transportation. No one was talking about a living wage until the Greens started running. And then we won school board seats, city council seats. We were really making an impact because we had that two-prong approach of running for big elections, not necessarily to win, but to change the debate, and running for local offices where we could win, and we did win. And I would love to see that duplicated at the national level right now. I think,
And if we do that in every state, like you're saying, the synergistic, like, the federal level races plus the local races and state legislative races, that's what's going to help Cornell West win to the White House, right? If we want to get Cornell West elected, if we have campaigns like that in every state, every part of the state is going to get touched while we campaign, because we have a candidate that's running for a statewide Senate seat, and we got Cornell West also running. Cornell's going to go visit with them, right? It's going to be it's going to work really well together, like I don't know, peanut butter and jelly.
Right. And Roger Meadows, I can't pull this up on the screen because the StreamYard chat froze, but Roger Meadows sent a super chat that said, team up with petitioners running the constitutional ballot initiatives you agree with. So that's just a suggestion
Absolutely.
that Roger gave as well. Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. I do want to reiterate to everyone, I want to make sure I pull this back up onto the screen so people can see this. Again, ballot access map. This is what you want to look at so you can see, what color your state falls in and what you can do. That is Cornell West for us, cornellwest4.us/ballot access. And for all other information as well, you want to go to Cornell West website here. I just want to put that back up here for you at cornellwest24.org. And you can find all of this information, everything that we're discussing tonight. But again, if you're in Massachusetts, it's a little bit easier for you here, and you can reach out to me as well. But thank you guys. Thank you so much. I definitely want to bring you guys back on again, like later on, especially as we get into 2024, so we can just, keep reiterating this message so that people know what's up.
Great. Well, thank you so much,
Sabby.
Sabby, and thank you to all your viewers. We're going to do this. We're going to get on the ballot in all 50 states, and it'll be thanks to all of you who help out. So.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Bye, Sabby.
Cheers.
Bye.